Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Problems with Emily. This is going to be my Christmas video, I guess. So Merry Christmas. Got on my nice ugly Christmas sweater it says Christmas Mood. Sorry, you can't see it all right now. But it's got a cow on it and I love cows, which is very fitting because I'm currently in Sioux City, Iowa. Alright, so with Christmas right around the corner, I wanted to talk about how to set boundaries with your parents as it gets close to the holiday, especially as your needs as a young adult start to change and you start to no longer be able to accommodate your family's traditions. I feel like this is especially important for young women because we're always told growing up and raised to think that we always need to meet everyone else's needs around us and always do for everyone else. And I think that it's very difficult sometimes to set these boundaries with your parents because you don't want to upset them, you don't want to let them down. But you kind of have to sometimes because they don't understand that like what you used to do as a child is no longer going to work, or that they just need to start to understand and respect the fact that you are now grown and have to do what's best for you, especially if you're starting your own family, what's best for your family. And I wanted to make this video because I know so many young women, but also men my age, that are really struggling to set these boundaries with their family and prioritize themselves and their relationships with their partners over sometimes what their family wants them to do. So I just want to talk about that. This is not about me and my parents. I personally don't really struggle to set boundaries. I am pretty good about this. I've always been outspoken and I've always made it very clear what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. But I know that for some people who were raised in a different environment from me, or a little bit more afraid to say what they're thinking, some tips could be helpful. So the first thing I want to say is that when you decide that you cannot just go along with whatever your parents or grandparents or siblings have planned for you, I think it's really important to remind your parents that they did a great job raising you and that you are an independent adult, and that even if maybe you're not totally independent yet, but you still have your priorities and you still have your life that needs to come first in your goals for your life and what's going to make you happy and what's going to make you enjoy the holidays. And usually if you approach the conversation with hey, I really want you to understand, I really want to make you happy and I want to fit you in and I want to do something with you, but that is not whatever you have in mind is not going to work. So we need to figure out a way in the middle where we can make this work. I think approaching it like that is a lot better than just being I'm not doing that, F you kind of thing. It's the holidays, you want to keep your family happy, but at the same time, setting these boundaries is really important. I know a lot of friends of mine who don't want to hurt their parents' feelings, and they just go along with whatever is always happening, even though it doesn't always work. For me, I don't really have a problem setting boundaries with my family, but at the same time, my life is very different now than what it was 2 years ago. I live in another state and I have a fiance, so I now also have to accommodate my partner and his family and not just my own, and my own time and what is reasonable for us to do financially since we do live in another state. So it can be really hard sometimes to have these conversations, but I think it's really important to tell your parents look, I really want to spend time with you, but I am not going to be able to do it in the capacity that I used to be able, and this is what I can do, and like, can you meet me in the middle? Yeah, we were always taught growing up, like, please your parents, respect your parents, like, don't upset your parents, like, they do everything for you. And yeah, they do a lot for us. They always have. My mom has always done so much for me growing up, and I'm very grateful for that. But at the end of the day, like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I'm still not going to be able to just go along with whatever my parents want me to do. I also think it's really important that, like, you make them understand that, like, you are a capable adult that has your own priorities and skill set, because I know that a lot of my friends, their parents still treat them like their children, like they cannot do anything on their own, like they need to run everything by them, like they need help with every little thing. And I think part of growing up is also just learning how to do that by yourself, even if you're not like totally there yet. So yeah, like, remind your parents, like, hey, you raised me well, I can do these things without your help, and I also have to do things what's in the way that's like best for me, and sometimes doing them with you makes things harder. I also think as a girl, our moms can be really like, oh, you're doing it wrong, but like you're just not doing it their way. And women are very like, kind of like there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. A lot of women are like that, and I'm like that too. But it's frustrating because when you're trying to figure out what works for you and what's best for you and what you want them to do, your mom might not always think that it's right, but you need to like make them understand, like, hey, like, just because you do it this way, like, this is what works for me. I have a friend like whose mom thinks that she can't do anything on her own, and like she's gonna have like a reality check or whatever, and it's like, we all have reality checks every day, but that doesn't mean that we can't handle it. So like, okay, just for example, quick little story. So last year when I graduated college, my mom wanted to throw me a party, and she was like, okay, Emily, like, I'm gonna reach out to my friend and she's gonna help me make the invitations for your party. And I'm like, Mom, like, I can make the invitations for my own party. Like, you realize, like, I have a college degree, like, I'm not just like any student, like, I'm creative. I can definitely like figure out how to do this and figure out how to do this well, and I already like know where I would start. And she's like, are you sure? Like, I want to make sure that there's no like mistakes, like everything is grammatically correct. I want to make sure everything flows right. I want to make sure it looks a certain way. And I'm like, Mom, like, you forgot, like, you freaking raised me. You raised me. Like, I think about the things almost the same way that you think about them. I know how to do this. I have a freaking college degree. You think I haven't done a million things like this and turned them in and like not gotten it? Like, I can handle this. But like, she just like couldn't accept the fact, or like she did, but like it took her a little bit to like realize, like, right, my daughter's a grown-up. She can figure this out. She can figure this out, and she can do it well. And even when I was doing it, she still was like, oh, show me the template, show me, because I want to make sure everything is right. Like I don't know how to proofread things. Like, I haven't been like a straight A student my entire life. Like, I didn't go to a good college. Like forgetting that like I am completely capable, and I was capable of this in high school as well, but like just not her trusting that she did a good job raising me. And it's like, that's kind of how I try to approach the conversation sometimes. Like, you forget that you're the one who raised me. I think the way that you taught me to think. I can do this. I can do this. And I think that's a good way to do it, because then at the same time you're advocating for yourself, but you're also complimenting your parents and how they did a good job. And like, let's be honest, no parents are perfect. Every parent is going to make mistakes with you. Every parent is going to like, you know, have their own way of raising you, but every parent does something right? So just like, there's always things that they're doing right, even if they're still making mistakes, or even if there's things that you are still like annoyed about or whatever. So yeah, just like remind them like, hey, I love you and you did a really great job raising me, and I don't need to do it like that. Like, I can do this myself. I can handle it with my life. And that doesn't mean that I don't respect you, that I don't want to please you. It means that I need to figure things out for myself and figure out what works best for me. And I really think that as women, that's really hard to do, because we constantly like want our mom's approval over things. Like, I know I do. Like, I always want my mom to approve of what I do with my life, but at the end of the day, I also, like, even though I have a lot of similarities with her, I also have a lot of differences, and figuring out like what I want to do is very different. My mom like forced the book on me the other day. She's like, you're gonna want a book when you're in the truck, you're gonna get so bored. I'm like, Mom, you don't understand. Like, yeah, I used to like to read when I was like 6, but kind of college ruined that for me. Now I just want to play on my phone when I have free time. And she like forgets that, like, yeah, we're a lot alike, but we're also, there's a generational gap, and there's also just like differences that, like, I went to college for 4 years and I did a very rigorous program and I did very rigorous stuff in high school, and she didn't do that. So her experience reading books like wasn't the same as mine. So like, she just like, sometimes, you know, they don't understand that like, just because you used to be some way doesn't mean you're that same person. But I think, yeah, just like try to advocate for yourself, but always do it in a way that like kind of reminds them, like, you know, they did a good job with you and that you don't need their help all the time. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to need their help, but it means like, wait until you ask for help. When I ask for help, then you can help me. When I'm not asking for help, I'm not asking for help. Sometimes I'm just telling my mom something and then she'll start giving me solutions, and I'm like, I'm not asking for solutions. I already have the solutions. I'm just like venting to you right now. And like, again, like, they forget that like they are the ones who raised you. So you think similarly to the way that they think, right? Especially as you're like starting to grow up and like develop your own life, your priorities change, and sometimes it's hard for parents to accept that you are like grown now. Like, you're not the same little kid that they once had. Like, you are definitely gonna have similarities to the way you were as a child, but you grow up and things change. So just don't get too mad at your parents when they want you to go to that holiday dinner that you really don't want to go to, or you have a conflict with your partner's family or whatever. Just remind them that you love them, you're going to make time for them. It's not going to be the same as it always was, but you're still going to find a way to enjoy their company this holiday season. I know family stresses a lot of people out. Definitely I get stressed out dealing with my family sometimes, or dealing with other people, but it's about love and appreciation for your family and reminding your family members that they matter to you. So let's just remind our family that we love them, but still prioritize what matters most to us, so that we can maintain a healthy mindset and we can maintain our calm and our cool. Because I think this, especially for moms, like, I'm not a mother yet, thank God, but like, I know that for moms especially, the holidays are really, really stressful. So it's hard when you're like sorry mom, like I'm not gonna do this, they're gonna be like, what the hell, like I planned all these things out, like this is a lot of mental load and stuff. It is. It's also a lot of physical load if they're making cookies, if they're making dinner, if they're decorating their homes and all these things, right? So try to tell them like as far in advance as you can what your plans are and what you're willing to do before you like have them do all these things and then bail on them or whatever. 'Cause sometimes we all gotta bail sometimes. All right, I think I rambled on enough today, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and I'll see y'all soon.